Tracking the next weather maker bringing thunderstorm threats, our Weather Authority team is breaking down the timing hour by hour. Questions surrounding the Brooklyn Day mass shooting may soon be answered. We are live monitoring the City Council hearing that could shed more light into the case. State's attorneys across Maryland sound off on the juvenile justice laws. Now we ask the mayor if he thinks changes should be made to hold young criminals accountable.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 4.
And Fox 45 News is keeping an eye on a weather maker. You're looking at live conditions around the region. Right now, we're tracking a line of storms moving through our region and whether some of this will turn severe tonight. Our chief meteorologist, Jonathan Myers, will join us in a moment with an hour-by-hour forecast.
In an hour, the Baltimore City Council is holding its hearing on the Brooklyn Homes mass shooting. City Council members are demanding answers from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, the Baltimore Police Department, and the Housing and Transportation Departments on the failures leading up to the violence. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kai Jackson.
And I'm Mary Bubala. Tonight's hearing comes a week and a half after that deadly shooting. Two people, 20-year-old Kailas Fagbemi and 18-year-old Alaya Gonzalez, were killed, and another 28 injured in the Brooklyn Day block party. So far, progress has been slow in the investigation. Police still not identifying suspects nor announcing charges for the actual shooting.
Neighbors in West Baltimore say more could have been done to avoid the tragedy. Police knew about the shooting hours in advance, but critics say they failed to respond quickly enough.
And we know before the shooting, Safe Streets workers were at the scene, breaking apart a number of conflicts. But what actions they took next remain under question.
Tonight, Fox 45 News continues our comprehensive team coverage on the investigation, the youth crime crisis, and the City Council's efforts to hold city agencies accountable. We begin with Mackenzie Frost, who is live at City Hall now ahead of the hearing tonight. Mackenzie?
Yeah, Mary and Kai, this hearing comes after some serious questions have been raised, especially for the Baltimore Police Department, since they were the ones who said the department didn't know about this Brooklyn Day block party until hours before. There's also some serious questions for the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, or MONSE. We know 4 Safe Streets workers were at the event earlier in the evening. The city, as well as Catholic Charities, the nonprofit monitoring and operating this Safe Streets location, all say that those workers mediated several conflicts, but it's still unclear whether guns were involved in those conflicts or not. We also know that the police department was aware that the crowd size was growing and there were some serious concerns about the idea of people there with weapons, including guns, hours before the first trigger was pulled. That's based on dispatch audio reviewed by Fox 45 News. Now, last week I spoke with Councilman Mark Conway. He's the chair of this public safety committee and the one who called for this hearing to happen. He says he recognizes the importance of getting to the bottom of this, and he wants to know how many city agencies failed to know that this annual event was taking place. Is that acceptable for BPD not to do something when they knew about this at least an hour and a half before something happened?
Absolutely unacceptable. If our department knew about it around 11 o'clock and this happened, a little after midnight, we had an hour and a half, 2 hours to figure out what we were going to do. Why did nothing happen? I think it's just important that we get it right and that we ask the right questions, we pull in the right people. We are straightforward about what actually happened so that we can actually do something about it.
Now, all eyes will be on this hearing as several questions remain unanswered nearly 2 weeks.
Five-year-old Lakeisha Wheeler dead near the high school. According to court documents, the two were in a relationship. Keith Daniels is going through the documents and will have more information coming up at 10 o'clock.
Well, we are uncovering some new details about a 19-year-old accused of killing a 17-year-old near the Towson Town Center earlier this year.
Fox 45 News has obtained court documents, and records reveal the teen is also linked to another murder committed in Baltimore City in 2021.
Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor is live in Towson after that bail hearing today. Rebecca, what happened?
Well, that bail hearing was just postponed, but it's likely that Brown will be held without bond due to the 19-year-old now facing 2 separate murder charges. According to court documents, Brown was already behind bars when investigators linked him to the Towson homicide. Those documents say that Brown was first arrested back in March and connected to a June 2021 homicide case where 4 suspects allegedly robbed, shot, and killed a 24-year-old man in northwest Baltimore City. That crime took place when Brown was just 17 years old. Flash forward to February of this year, at 19 years old, Brown is now being accused of shooting and killing a 17-year-old near Towson Town Center. Those charging documents say Brown admitted to being present the night of the shooting, but declined that he was the one to actually pull the trigger. However, police claim eyewitnesses and surveillance video say otherwise. It's just another example of young people committing and falling victim to crime across the state, something local activists are calling on leaders in Annapolis to address.
Calling a special session isn't just about the laws that could be passed, but it also goes to setting that tone that says, look, too many of our young people are dying, too many of our young people are in danger, and we are going to make them a priority.
And while some Republican lawmakers have joined the calls for a special session to address youth violence, so far, Governor Wes Moore has said he has no plans on calling one. Reporting live in Baltimore County, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Rebecca, thank you. Well, as the entire state struggles with juvenile crime, Fox 45 is getting a unique perspective on the issue from youth offenders who are currently in the system. Brad Bell from our Sinclair sister station in D.C. had the opportunity to attend a youth mentorship meeting in a juvenile detention facility. The kids shedding light on why they believe they committed the crimes they did, most pointing to a lack of supervision.
They're not getting enough help at home.
I don't like somebody thinking they have authority. I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
they gonna take charge of me or something.
I still feel like I'm in jail when I'm in school. You gotta tell me when I can go to the bathroom, tell me when I can leave the class.
How easy is it to get a gun?
All I can say is easy.
Well, many of the kids saying they're not sure what they'll do once they are released. Earlier this year, Secretary of Juvenile Services Vincent Schiraldi spoke with Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost about the lack of supervision those kids said is contributing to the youth violence spike.
Supervision all by itself, by a government-funded probation officer or community supervisor, that's just this much of the problem. We really have to engage the rest of the people in their community. We got to get in there with those kids and interrupt that flow and put them on a path to success. That's where we'll have our best success, not just because some PO sees you once in a week in his office and has you, pee in a cup and tell you to go forth and sin no more. That's not ever going to do it.
When we pressed the secretary if he believes the need for safety in a community means a youth offender should be held in state custody, he said it's not an either-or question and believes the most important thing for kids to thrive is supplying them with programs they need to set them on the right path. Well, BGE facing transparency questions in its work to put gas regulators outside Baltimore homes. Hear from one of the women arrested after staging a protest to stop the work.
A big change in Howard County could make it harder for students to get to school, why parents say cutting bus routes will put children at risk.
Emotional testimony in the trial over Akia Eggleston's murder as the jury sees security footage just before she went missing. The latest developments in court today.
And for now, it's just hot and humid, but later on in the afternoon commute, some showers and thunderstorms could begin approaching, that is. I'll let you know if that's going to put an end to our 90s. That's coming up in my Weather Authority forecast.
Fox 45 News, winner of 16 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
Well, this just in, we are about to witness an historic strike across the TV industry. Just moments ago, Hollywood actors voted to join screenwriters in a combined strike. It is the first time actors from film and television shows have gone on strike since 1980.
This afternoon, contract talks with studio and streaming services collapsed. The union expressed disappointment moments ago. They're demanding a boost in residual payments and higher wages to counter inflation.
And so it came with great sadness that we came to this crossroads, but we had no choice. We are the victims here.
Well, the group representing studios and streaming services said earlier Thursday that the actors' decision to end negotiations was their choice and will hurt thousands financially. It was an emotional day in court as a jury continued to hear witness testimony in Michael Robertson's murder trial.
Robertson is accused of killing pregnant girlfriend Akia Eggleston and their unborn child in May of 2017. Family reported Akia missing after she failed to show up for her baby shower. The 22-year-old was 8 months pregnant at the time.
Alexa Ashwell has been covering this case since Akia was first reported missing. She joins us with what happened in court today. Alexa.
Kai, Mary, we've now heard from nearly a dozen witnesses, the majority either a family member or friend of Akia Eggleston. But the most emotional account today coming from a bank manager and surveillance video that investigators say captures one of the last times Akia was seen alive.
This image of Akia Eggleston inside the BB&T, a snapshot of surveillance video jurors viewed during day 4 of Michael Robertson's murder trial. The bank manager breaking down into tears as she identifies Akia in the video. It was May 3rd, 2017, and one of the last times investigators say Akia was seen alive. In the courtroom, Akia's family also emotional, later putting their reaction into words.
It was very, very difficult. I didn't expect it to see that would be the last time that anybody saw her alive. To see that, there's really no words.
Back in court, the bank manager testifying why Akia told her she was withdrawing cash that day. She was moving, and he did not accept money orders. At the start of the trial, the state alleging Akia's belief she and Robertson were getting a place together was a ruse, that there was never a meeting with the landlord, and Robertson had no intention of moving in with Akia, instead killing her inside her home in Cherry Hill. Claims Robertson denies in opening statements, his defense saying, "You're going to hear things about Michael Robertson that you don't like. That doesn't make him guilty of murder." Another woman taking the stand, Robertson's paternal cousin, also a close family friend of Akia. Text messages between her and Robertson after Akia failed to show up for her baby shower on May 7th, days after she was last seen in the bank, were entered into evidence. In them, Robertson says he does not know where Akia is. His text reading in part, "I'm not with Akia," and later, "Tell her the stunt she pulled left me homeless." The woman then questioning Robertson on the whereabouts of the mother of his other children. In court, testifying she had previously attacked Akia. At the start of the trial, the state painting the picture of a love triangle. During cross-questioning, the witness confirming Akia vented more about the other woman than Robertson.
The state's last witness of the day did not show up. We're looking deeper into that. Then at 5, what one witness says Robertson planned to name his unborn child. The meaning, some say, is concerning. Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
All right, next weather maker is moving at us. Could give us a chance of a shower or storm this evening. For now, though, it's the heat and the humidity that's building, and also that code orange air quality alert continues in effect up and down the 95 and 97 corridor. That includes Baltimore, Annapolis, all the way up to the Delaware line. Those folks that have pre-existing respiratory issues, are very young, elderly, should continue to spend some extra time inside. It is oppressive outside right now. Just a temperature 96. right now here in Baltimore with some partial sunshine. You see in the background some of those blue skies and the sun beating down on the buildings of downtown on the Toyota Asiana Harbor Skycam winds. I guess that's one saving grace out of the south-southwest at 11. So there's a little bit of a breeze, but look at the feels like temperature. Yep, here we go again with the humidity coming back up. It feels like nearly 100. 96 the temperature right now here in Baltimore, 93 at Cockeysville, 97 at Westminster, 97 at Frederick. 90s all across the Eastern Shore as well. You add in again the measure of moisture in the air. The heat index feels like triple digits. Cockeysville 102, Columbia, Laurel feels like 99 here in Baltimore and 97 at Annapolis. Now the next weather maker that's out to our west with a whole bunch of showers and thunderstorms. It's been a big severe weather maker actually over portions of the northern Great Lakes, Chicago area, Detroit. That now is pushing its way into West Virginia. And we could see some of these showers and thunderstorms move in this evening, but I think it's going to be after the peak heating of the day. That's going to be really after sunset. So the good news is I don't think we expect a whole lot of severe with this, although there is a cold front with it, which is going to kind of stall overhead, adding to some clouds tomorrow. May finally take us out of the 90s after a little mini heat wave now, after the big heat wave we had last week. I believe this is day 3 or day 4 of 90s for today. The thunderstorm's going to be moving back in again for tonight. So there is a marginal risk of severe weather for tonight. And in fact, as that cold front stays overhead tomorrow from Baltimore south and east, there's a marginal risk, 1 out of 5 risk of severe weather as well. So what can you expect? Maybe some heavy rain, maybe some gusty winds. So that is something that we will track closely. And you see it there by 8:30, some of those cells moving in from the west. But it's coming at a bad time because the sun is setting. Well, a bad time for the thunderstorms, that is. They will be gradually diminishing. And it looks like as we head into the overnight hours, they're pretty much gone. And then tomorrow we do it all over again during the afternoon, evening. There could be some more thunderstorms that roll in. And again, we may miss the mark on the 90 for tomorrow. It's going to be close. 88 with scattered storms in the p.m. Then we're back into the 90s. Don't worry. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week.
An historic discovery in Prince George's County with newly found dinosaur bones can tell us about what Maryland was like millions of years ago. The bag of drugs will remain a mystery. Why investigators are dropping their search for who brought a bag of cocaine into the White House. We're back with some live pictures of the White House. The Secret Service today said it is done investigating after cocaine was found near the West Wing. The agency says it still doesn't know who left the drugs there. They say agents combed through surveillance video and visitor logs to no avail. One source says the leading theory remains that a visitor left it over the busy holiday weekend. Well, take a look at this. Scientists in Maryland just dug up dinosaur bones, the first to be found in the state since 1887. Brad Bell with our Sinclair sister station in D.C. has the story for us.
You are looking at what scientists say may be the most significant dinosaur discovery in the eastern United States in more than 100 years. Leg bones from a dinosaur which roamed what is now an industrial park in South Laurel 115 million years ago. Paleontologist J.P. Hodnett believes it is from a creature called Acrocanthosaurus. Picture a thinner T-Rex.
It has to do with anatomy. So certain dinosaurs have certain shaped bones, and this had the right exact shape for a big meat-eating dinosaur. Acrocanthosaurus is known from this continent at this time. So that is our top hypothesis of what is the owner of this shin bone.
It's a large predatory dinosaur. It was the largest predatory dinosaur in North America until T-Rex evolved about 50 million years later.
Dr. Thomas Holtz is part of the team working the discovery. This unusual patch of land has been revealing fossils since the 1880s. It is now a protected park and a regular school field trip destination. In the early Cretaceous period, it was a very different place.
Picture yourself with redwoods and cypresses in a stream, very slow-moving stream draining through this region, sort of swampy in parts.
The scientists now believe there may have been a log jam in the stream, which captured the remains of all sorts of animals, which over the eons fossilized under layers of sediment, creating what they now call a bone bed, a jackpot for these dino experts who plan to keep on digging.
The finds we're making here are going to help give us more insights into some of the dinosaurs that we already knew or at least suspected were here.
Now, if this discovery has ignited your interest in the Cretaceous period, the cool thing about Dinosaur Park is you can come here. It's open to the public twice a month. And while you might not find the leg bone of a huge meat-eating dinosaur, you will find fossils. Just look at this right there. That's the fossilized remains of a tree from 115 million years ago. In Laurel, Brad Bell, Fox 45 News.
Very cool. Well, parents desperately trying to stop their school system from cutting bus routes. The changes in Howard County that could force some kindergartners to walk over a mile to get to school. What really happened, and is Safe Streets worth the money? The answers taxpayer advocates and members of the community are hoping to hear during a City Hall hearing tonight on the Brooklyn Homes mass shooting.
In a half hour, the Baltimore City Council's hearing on the Brooklyn Day mass shooting starts. You're looking live at City Hall right now, where Monzi, the police department, the departments of transportation and housing will all be on the hot seat.
Members of the council will be demanding some answers on how much public safety officials knew before the shooting, the involvement of Safe Streets workers, and how a massive unpermitted event was allowed to take place.
Now, in the wake of the shooting, there's been some confusion surrounding the role Safe Streets workers played leading up to the violence.
And after Monzi initially said the workers were mediating conflicts involving guns, the nonprofit running the Safe Streets sites contradicted those claims.
Now, as the city council attempts to clarify exactly what happened, some taxpayer advocates say there are also critical financial questions when it comes to Safe Streets. Megan Gillen has the latest.
Right now, we are waiting for Baltimore City Council's hearing to begin on the response to the Brooklyn Homes mass shooting. The police department and the mayor's office of neighborhood safety and engagement, or Monzi, are among the agencies being asked to face the council tonight. And taxpayer watchdog David Williams says there are lingering financial and fiscal questions that need to be answered.
I'm concerned about is the massive amount of taxpayer money that has gone into Monzi, gone into Safe Streets. We're talking about Monzi that's been around only since 2020, right? And we saw federal relief funds of $50 million going into Monzi. A lot of money is being spent. And when you look at the details of what they're spending it on, really raises a lot of questions.
David, I want to ask you, what can City Council or the mayor do to reform Monzi and Safe Streets? Is there an answer?
It's about transparency and accountability. We heard this in the last hour, right, with the guests that you had. And this is about making sure that Monzi is accountable for the money. And this starts with the mayor. It doesn't start with the city council. It starts with the mayor.
Williams went on to say that transparency is also important within the police department. You can watch this full interview on foxbaltimore.com. I'm Megan Gillen, Fox 45 News.
A community government watchdog group, Peace, is hoping to hear answers from lawmakers tonight on the city's response to the shooting. Patrice Sanders spoke with the group's spokesperson, Eurypsy Morgan, about what she wants to learn.
You can give us whatever stats you want. You can say that the crime numbers are down, but if people don't feel safer, if they don't look around their community and see the investment, if they don't feel like a priority, then your stats don't matter, right? And so we want to know what specific investments, structural and monetary investments, have been made in Brooklyn homes to make residents feel better. And if those aren't happening to the extent that they should, then what can residents expect in the future?
For our full reporting on the hearing tonight, the mass shooting and the investigation, go to our website, foxbaltimore.com.
Well, on the heels of last night's council hearing over BGE's external gas regulators, a candidate running for city council is calling on Baltimore's elected officials to take action now. Well, right now, some residents continue to question the transparency of the natural gas utility work, which BGE claims is to improve safety. Fox 45's Amy Simpson at City Hall as she continues to follow this debate and controversy over these gas regulators. Amy?
Mary, Claudia Tolles is running to represent Fells Point in City Council, and today she pointed to a way that she thinks City Council can act right now to protect residents amid this ongoing debate about these gas regulators. Tolles is urging Council to amend Baltimore's right-of-way laws. She says the city has jurisdiction over construction and utility permitting for right-of-way where sidewalks are being torn up and these gas regulators are being installed. The city council hopeful thinks the city should require BGE to get informed written consent from homeowners before doing this utility work.
This is an opportunity for the city council to provide that path forward, to hold BGE accountable and to help them understand that it is not okay to bully their way through our neighborhoods.
And in a statement today, BGE said it's modernizing the city's gas system to improve safety and reliability of natural gas delivery. The company adding this utility work is in accordance with applicable laws, regulations, and BGE.
And Amy, any traction from City Council on this proposal?
So I did reach out to all 15 members of the current city council today to ask them about this proposal from Towson about amending the city's right-of-way laws. But today, none of those city council members responded. We're live outside City Hall. Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
Amy, thank you. In a related story, the state's Public Service Commission is reacting. Baltimore City Councilman Zeke Cohen said he plans to call on them to reject BGE's proposed multi-year rate increases. In a statement, the agency says they'll review the councilman's resolution along with other comments. The PSC also says there will be public hearings later this summer, followed by evidentiary hearings. We can expect Cohen's resolution Monday. BGE wants to raise gas and electric bills by more than $10 a month over a 3-year period. Cohen says those increases are unnecessary.
Well, Howard County families are in a race against time to stop their own school system from cutting bus service to thousands of students.
The school system expects students, including some kindergartners, to walk more than a mile to school. Project Baltimore's Chris Papps explains many parents are pushing back.
For these Howard County families, summer break has become a battle against their own school system.
Time is running out.
An effort fought across many fronts, and all of them will converge Thursday at the Howard County School Board meeting.
And the kids have a blast handing these out.
Sean Happel is the parent of 3 Howard County elementary students.
And there you go.
He has joined the movement to get school buses back for 3,500 Howard County students who had bus service cut by their district.
We have safety concerns, we have equity concerns, we have just a breadth of concerns that show that the policy hasn't been fully thought out.
For the upcoming school year, Howard County schools increased the distance students must live from their school to qualify for bus service. For pre-K students, middle schoolers and high schoolers, the distance was increased by half a mile. The school system, which according to the most recent data is located in Maryland's wealthiest county, will not interview with FOX45 News, but said in a statement the intent is to ensure the efficient use of transportation, primarily because start times for next school year were changed.
Frustrating. Very frustrating.
Outrage. Shock.
Project Baltimore last month spoke with families from this Elkridge neighborhood who were told their children, some as young as kindergarten, would be expected to walk to school next year. We walked the route with them, more than a mile, along roads with no sidewalks and limited visibility.
It was a blind hill because you can't see anything as you're going down, right? That's the definition of blind hill.
Since Project Baltimore first told that neighborhood story, many more have joined the cause. This online petition demanding answers from the school system was created in mid-June. In just a few weeks, it's gathered nearly 1,400 signatures. Another online petition was started in late June, calling on the school board to reverse course and return the school buses. That petition has more than 1,300 signatures.
We're asking them just to pause for 1 year, just for 1 year, to get community engagement, to try and make sure that they're considering all aspects before they make such an impactful change to the county. We've made probably about 1,500 of these.
Apple's contribution is to make flyers which are passed out during events, including this 4th of July parade, where families marched in protest of the school board's decision. Did the county even try to work with you?
In my opinion, no.
Local business owners are also getting involved. Jared Defaba owns a school bus company that's been driving Howard County students for more than 50 years. He said if the district would work with him and other contractors to hash out wages and routes, the 3,500 students could get their buses back.
It's frustrating to me to know that we have the tools to fix it, but it's not getting done.
Well, I think our parents and our families have a right to be concerned and even frustrated.
Howard County Executive Calvin Ball has even weighed in.
But I'm hopeful that our school system, our Board of Education, is going to look and work with our parents, work with our communities to ensure that our kids can get to school safely.
Good afternoon.
On Thursday, July 13th, the Howard County School Board will hold a meeting, which many parents believe is their last chance to get their buses back.
There needs to be a change before the school year starts.
A summer of planning and fighting devoted to just one night with a result that is out of their control.
Please listen to us.
I'm Chris Papst, and this is Project Baltimore.
Well, Fox 45 News will be watching to see what happens at tonight's school board meeting, and we'll bring you updates. If you're a Howard County parent with concerns about transportation, we want to hear from you. Call the Project Baltimore hotline or email us at the address on your screen.
The governor and the Baltimore Orioles are closer to agreeing on a long-term lease for Camden Yards. In a joint statement released today, the two sides say they're making progress on a deal to keep the O's in Baltimore. That statement also doubles down on promises to expand the Camden Yards campus and develop areas around the stadium. Earlier this week, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred also said that he's confident the team and the state will reach an agreement to stay in Baltimore. 3D printing could be the key to disaster recovery. The new technology that can print you a new house.
5 months after that toxic train derailment in Ohio, a new fight over who is responsible and who should pay those residents affected. I'm Scott Thuman in Washington with an update.
And with high heat, I'd say I'd take those outdoor exercise and activities to later on this evening, as temperatures fall out of the 90s by 5 and 6 p.m. and into the 80s by 7, but also could have some showers and storms. You're tracking those hour by hour on the Future Scan in my Weather Authority forecast.
A new environmental study shows potentially dangerous chemicals may have lingered in the air weeks after that massive train derailment in Ohio last February. And although health issues are a concern, another is money. Residents are wondering if they'll ever be fully compensated for widespread financial loss, which now could be getting more complicated. Sinclair's chief political correspondent Scott Thuman has the story.
It was the Ohio train derailment that caught the rest of the country's attention. Almost overnight, residents of East Palestine saw their health concerns spike and their livelihoods plummet. The label of a toxic spill site meant the value of their homes and businesses would nosedive. Back in March, the rail company Norfolk Southern promised Congress to rectify that.
Will you commit to compensating affected homeowners while they diminish property values.
Senator, I'm committed to do what's right.
But in this full measure report, residents skeptical.
We did not do this. We were at home. They assumed the full liability, and they want to make it right, define what right is. We're owed that.
Now, adding to their worry, Norfolk Southern says the owner of the actual rail car, GATX, is also liable and should help pay for the costs. Ohio Senator J.D. Vance telling us he fears it could cause long-term delays.
And the people of East Palestine who have had their homes, their property, their small businesses devastated, they don't have months and years to wait on this litigation to unfold. So I think we have to get money into their pocket as quickly as possible.
Congress, in the meantime, debating the Rail Safety Act, including new stricter limits on train speed and length, tougher track standards, and improved technology to detect defects on cars.
Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg told us previously money also talks.
Tougher fines, because when you have a multi-billion-dollar company, these big freight railroads like Norfolk Southern, even if we catch them in a fatal violation, my department is prevented by Congress from fining them any more than low six figures.
Changes from Congress that he hopes will prevent the next East Palestine. In Washington, I'm Scott Thuman.
And here's a live look outside right now at Towson, the county seat in Baltimore County, and the Inner Harbor in Baltimore. It's hot again outside today with temperatures nearing 100 degrees. Here's Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Myers with the latest. And Jonathan, we're lucky we just got our upstairs AC fixed today. It was out for a week.
Wow, close call.
Yeah,
Hot
right.
stuff, man. Yeah, this afternoon just searing heat. Temperatures up to 96. Last month, we did make it to 97, so it's not the hottest of the summer thus far, but yes, it is super hot and it is super uncomfortable. I'll show you some of the heat indices with the building humidity. Now, an air quality alert does continue for the remainder of this afternoon. That includes Anne Arundel County, Baltimore City, Baltimore County, Harford County, and Cecil County. We were talking about this over the past 24 hours. Those folks that have pre-existing respiratory issues, are very young, the elderly, going to have to spend some extra time inside through the remainder of today. Toyota East Inner Harbor Skycam looks nice, but ooh, man, 96 degrees. I guess a saving grace is a wind out of the south-southwest at 11, helping us out a little bit, at least mixing the air around a bit. But humidity, although it's only at 35%, the feels-like temperature is close to 100. It's at 99. Now, thankfully, tomorrow there may be some more clouds and a couple more showers and storms, and that could keep us out of the 90s. But for now, it's 96 in Baltimore, the hottest of our three-day 90-plus stretch thus far. 97 at Westminster, 97 at Frederick. Temperatures in the 90s across the Eastern Shore. One lone 89 at Elkton. But everybody's sweltering in terms of the heat index. Feels more like triple-digit heat for a lot of neighborhoods. Here's the next weather maker. There's even some severe weather with it. Brought some tornadoes across the Chicago metro area all the way up to Detroit last night. Lots of severe weather. That is now sinking south and east, and we will get a piece of this. But luckily for us, as this front moves in and eventually dies out pretty much overhead, it's going to be coming in during a time that's not necessarily conducive for severe weather. It's going to be more so during the evening and the early overnight. So there's only a marginal 1 of 5 risk of severe weather for today. And again, that returns for tomorrow afternoon. Let's go ahead and track it here on the future scan. The 90 is going to be going by the wayside as the showers and storms move in into the early overnight hours by 8:30. There you go, Columbia, back down to Laurel, getting some of the reds, the yellows, the oranges. That goes through about 10:15 here in Baltimore. So rain, some isolated embedded thunderstorms. There could be a gusty storm in there as well. So do keep that in mind. And then into tomorrow by the afternoon again, it looks like some more spot storms after about 3, 4 o'clock. That could impact us for the getaways Friday afternoon. So keep that in mind if you have any trips planned potentially down the ocean. We'll go to 88 on Friday, but don't worry, the 90s are back. Maybe a spot storm, too, for Saturday, Sunday. High 91 both days, and it looks like we're still in the low to mid-90s all the way into next week.
Hey, what happens when you fill a printer with concrete? You get 3D printed homes. Is there anything 3D printing can't do these days? Take a look at your screen. You're looking at a 3D printed home in Redding, California. It was built by the company Emergent. They were founded in 2018 after a large wildfire burned thousands of acres in the state of California.
We all experienced the car fire. Whether your house burnt or not, I saw the fire tornado in my rearview mirror. I thought my house was gone. We all felt that emotional shock, and we all know the economic and emotional impact it has. This entire house was built, was printed. Nobody wore a tool belt. There was no hammer. I never saw a saw. They were running technology.
Well, the company says the speed at which they were able to build new, durable homes with the 3D printing technology could be used to help communities around the world dealing with damage from storms, fires, earthquakes, and much more. Coming up at 5 o'clock on Fox 45, the Baltimore City Council holds a hearing in 10 minutes to gain more insight into communication flaws surrounding the Brooklyn Day mass shooting. We'll take you live to City Hall.
It's not easy to quit. Why you're going to be seeing signs like these where you buy tobacco. I'm Liz Bonus. It is just ahead.
It has taken more than 15 years, but new signs are going up to encourage people to stop smoking. Medical reporter Liz Bonus explains what's behind this new message.
Beginning this month, tobacco companies must post signs like these on smoking harms, as they call them, in 200,000 stores across the United States. The signs are called corrective statements. They mark the end of a long federal court battle. Dennis Hennigan, the vice president of legal and regulatory affairs for the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, told me has been ongoing between the U.S. Department of Justice and Big Tobacco. It's about tobacco marketing messages.
They fought this in the courts for about 16 years.
So what took so long?
They took this issue to the appeals court 4 different times.
Now the hope is that the signs, which say everything from how many people smoking kills each day to fertility warnings, will share a different message to young people and others who choose to smoke right at the point of purchase.
The Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids provided this video.
These signs are essentially designed to overcome decades of industry lies and misrepresentations about their products.
Don't you think that most people who smoke already know this information?
We're actually discovering new health hazards from smoking all the time. And people also don't really understand, and these signs will address, the activity of the industry itself in designing their products, manipulating their products to make them so addictive.
Hennigan says these messages about smoking are designed to make people think twice about other forms of tobacco use as well, such as vaping. Just as with other warning labels on packaging.
And the positioning of the signs has been well thought through to have maximum effect.
Now, if you don't see these signs at a place where you think they should be posted, you can report this to the Consumer Protection Branch of the Department of Justice. I'm medical reporter Liz Bonus. Back to you.
All right, let's take a quick look at your weekend forecast. It's coming up real quick. So for our Friday getaways, yes, there could be some showers and thunderstorms, some extra clouds. That will likely keep our temperatures in the 80s or just shy of 90 perhaps. Saturday starts with sunshine, then maybe a pop-up PM storm. And then it looks like on Sunday could have some more scattered showers and thunderstorms if you're headed down the ocean as well. Looks like a similar forecast, although it'll be a little bit, well, we'll say not as hot as you head down that way. 88 degrees for our Friday, scattered storms. We're getting out of town Saturday, Sunday. We're going to be staying in town. High temperatures, there we go again, into the low to mid 90s with some PM storms. And if you're going down the ocean, water temperature is going to be nice and warm in the mid to upper 70s, and not far away, the air temperature in the 80s with some scattered storms each and every day that you may have to dodge.
Coming up on Fox 45 News at 5 o'clock, juvenile justice laws in place, and they're on the top of mind as we see young people as both victims and suspects in crimes. We speak with state's attorneys around Maryland about the effectiveness of these new laws. Plus, extreme heat is having national impacts, how you can stay safe as those temperatures soar.
The City Council holding a hearing right now to gain more insight into the Brooklyn Day mass shooting. We take you there live as leaders demand answers.
It was very, very difficult. I didn't expect it.
Another day of arguments in the trial of the man accused of killing a Baltimore woman and her unborn child. The account we're hearing of Akia Eggleston's last moments.
Plus, the legal battle between BGE and city residents heating up, the demands for accountability.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 5.
If they had police presence, even 2 cars, even 2 police cars, if they were there, I'm almost certain this wouldn't happen.
As a community, it's time for us to stand up. I'm tired. There's no way we should keep going through this. This mother will never get her baby back.
It has been almost 2 weeks since one of Baltimore's largest mass shootings, and still more questions than answers. Thank you for staying with us. I'm Mary Bubala.
And I'm Kai Jackson. 18-year-old Aaliyah Gonzalez and 20-year-old Kylis Fagbemi were killed, and 28 others were shot. Now, there's still a $28,000 reward for any information that leads to an arrest.
One teen has been arrested and is facing gun charges, but not any charges for the actual shooting. City leaders are also working to gain more insight into the communication flaws between Safe Streets workers and police. Safe Streets workers were at the block party hours before the shooting, but never informed police of any threats. And now City Council holding a hearing to learn more about the disconnect between the agencies. That hearing just getting underway at 5 o'clock. Let's listen in.
Well, Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost is sitting in on that hearing. She'll have all of the highlights coming up tonight at 10 o'clock.
Well, several top prosecutors across the state of Maryland are speaking out, saying their hands are tied when it comes to holding juveniles accountable, all thanks to action taken by the Maryland General Assembly.
They include Baltimore County State's Attorney Scott Schellenberger and Baltimore City State's Attorney Ivan Bates. And now Mayor Brandon Scott is weighing in as well.
Fox 45's Maxine Stryker joins us live in Baltimore with a closer look at the response. Maxine?
Well, the state's attorneys that we heard back from agree that the laws on the books are making their jobs harder and possibly contributing to the rise in juvenile violence across the state. And today we questioned Mayor Scott, who agrees that some things do need to change.
Maryland's top prosecutors are calling for change from the state's General Assembly.
I think without question, over the last several years, the General Assembly has changed a number of the laws that deal with juvenile crime. And I think that's certainly led to some problems.
We reached out to every state's attorney in Maryland with a series of questions, including, do you believe the Maryland General Assembly has made it difficult for your office to hold juveniles accountable? And do you support the Juvenile Justice Reform Act of 2022 and the Child Interrogation Protection Act? Why or why not? Of the 24 state's attorneys, 10 answered our questions, and all of them agreed the General Assembly has made it more difficult to hold juveniles accountable.
They know that, you know, nothing's really going to happen to them if they keep their crime in a certain limit of types of crimes.
What I will tell you is we need to do something fast, quick, in a hurry. Juveniles understand that nothing will happen to them.
Well, that's fine. Under the Juvenile Justice Reform Act passed last year, those 13 and under are limited to charges for crimes of violence, and a juvenile under 10 cannot be charged. The law also calls for 6 months probation for juveniles who commit adult misdemeanors and 1 year probation for juveniles who commit adult felonies.
That may not be enough time to help them with the things that they need.
If a juvenile has an illegal handgun, the longest that they can be on probation is 6 months. 6 months. What services can we give a kid in 6 months?
Baltimore City State's Attorney Ivan Bates and Baltimore County State's Attorney Scott Schellenberger agreeing their hands are tied. Also weighing in Carroll County, State's Attorney Haven Shoemaker telling us he opposed both of those bills, saying in part both the quantity and severity of juvenile crime is escalating, not just in Maryland, but across the country. Juvenile criminal coddling is not the answer. Wycomico County State's Attorney Jamie Dyke says both pieces of legislation inhibit accountability and put our youth at higher risk of being victims of and committing violence. And Prince George's County State's Attorney Aisha Braveboy adding it appears that the emphasis has been on putting more juvenile offenders under the care of DJS, but it hasn't been provided the resources needed, which means juveniles who commit criminal acts are not getting effective services. Baltimore City Mayor Brandon Scott also weighing in today when we asked if he thought the juvenile justice laws on the books needed to change.
You know that I think there's something need to change. You know, I had a bill in Annapolis this year around home monitoring and the notification around home monitoring. No one, a juvenile or adult, should be able to be outside of where they're supposed to be for 48 hours before any notification happens. And if someone breaks that, then they should be able to be detained by law enforcement. But what I am going to do is go back this session and work with our General Assembly, work with our governor to make sure that we are changing anything that needs to be changed. But my focus is going to be on those that I know are allowing crimes to be committed against those juveniles and by them.
Do you think there needs to be? Now, advocates of the Juvenile Justice Reform Act, they argue that criminalizing children does not improve public safety. Tonight, we're still waiting to hear back from 14 of those states' attorneys. Reporting live in Baltimore, Maxine Stryker, Fox 45 News.
Maxine, thank you. Baltimore County Police make an arrest 6 days after a woman was found shot to death near Pikesville High School. Police have now identified the suspect as 53-year-old Levi Feldman. Last Friday, police found 45-year-old Lakeisha Wheeler dead near the high school, and according to court documents, the two were in a relationship. Fox 45's Keith Daniels is going through those documents. He'll have the story coming up tonight at 10 o'clock.
Big heat, and it looks like eventually some thunderstorms for this evening. Let's go ahead, take a look at what we got outside right now. And man, it isn't pretty. 95 degrees, and that's the Tidings Memorial Bridge on our traffic camera network on the area Havre de Grace. Winds out of the south-southwest at 9. That's helping out a little bit, but the dew point at 66, so the blazing sun. With that 95 here in Baltimore, 97 at Westminster, 97 at Frederick, 94 at Stevensville. It feels more like about triple digits. So this is nearly the danger zone. Once you hit about 105 on the heat index, that's when you start seeing folks having some health issues. And you see there at Laurel, it does feel like 106. 100 at Columbia, 100 is what it feels like at Annapolis, and not far behind here in Baltimore, Cockeysville feeling like 99 degrees. Now, we can only hope for a little bit of rain, right, to cool things down. There is a severe thunderstorm watch as close by as northeastern West Virginia, but it does not look like that'll likely get extended east. There are some showers and thunderstorms, but I think the biggest severe weather is going to be remaining over the Appalachians. There's a marginal risk of severe weather into this evening. But on the future scan, which we're going to be tracking here in a couple of minutes, our computer model says a lot of these are going to be weakening as they come in. But we'll start taking our temperatures out of the 90s, hopefully, as we head into this evening. By 5 p.m., 95 will be at 86 with showers and thunderstorms, and that high humidity still making it feel like 90 at 8 p.m. And more showers and storms probably all the way through about the midnight hour, although they will be gradually decreasing in coverage. I'm going to let you know when we may finally drop out of the 90s and when we may finally go back into them again for an extended period of time. That's coming up in my Weather Authority forecast.
Jonathan, thank you. Coming up after the break, another day of arguments in the trial of the man accused of killing a pregnant Baltimore woman. The new information we're learning.
The state of the economy, is it heading in the right direction? The latest jobs report highlighting employer confidence.
Plus, artificial intelligence is top on the minds of lawmakers. The concerns from them coming up.
Fox 45 News, winner of 16 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
Right now, the Baltimore City Council is holding a hearing on South Baltimore's mass shooting getting underway. Council members are questioning public safety agencies. In fact, Councilmember Mark Conway is speaking right now. Let's listen in for a moment.
I also want to provide from the city agencies. I also want to provide for an opportunity for a moment of silence for the 2 lives and Aaliyah Gonzalez, and also acknowledge the dozens of folks who were injured at this event and the hundreds that have been traumatized having been there at the moment of the shooting. In the days after the tragedy, we learned a lot of information that has been released in the media and on social media and otherwise that has really begun to color what happened that night and what happened before that night. Happy to say that we have made, or rather the police department has begun this investigation, has made a single arrest. We still have much more work to do as there are still other suspects on the streets. We're here today really though to parse through all that happened that night, to really begin to get an understanding of what went wrong. Today we'll hear from the Baltimore City Police Department, from the Housing Authority of Baltimore City, from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, and from the Department of Transportation. Each agency has a different role in making sure that events across the city, and specifically this one, go off without a hitch. And so I'm really interested in finding out in the course of this meeting what went wrong during this event, what went wrong in our response to calls and complaints about the event and conflict happening at the event. What is our response? How has our response been after the event? And even more, it's really important that we learn from what happened on July 2nd. We as a city have seen a lot of violence, but we're beginning to trend in the right direction. We're beginning to trend in the right direction, and unfortunately, this major event seems to have really shook people to their core, and hopefully does not set us back. We cannot let this happen again, and it is the responsibility of everyone in this room, employed by the city or not, to play a part in making sure that that does not happen again. So I want to first give an opportunity for Councilwoman Porter, the councilwoman for the district, to say a few words before I turn it over to President Mosby.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. I thank you all.
All right, that's Councilmember Mark Conway, who's chairing this event. And Mary, he told Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost he wants some answers out of this. This is now that we understand the worst mass shooting in the city of Baltimore. He said it's unacceptable, and he told Mackenzie he expects to get some answers.
Yeah, we're going to hear from the police department, other agencies, including Monzi, about Safe Streets rolling that. Felicia Porter speaking right now. The shooting happened in her district. Of course, we'll have the very latest coming up later in this newscast and at 6 o'clock, and of course on the news at 10 tonight.
We have continuing coverage as it was an emotional day in court as a jury continued to hear witness testimony in Michael Robertson's murder trial. Robertson is accused of killing his pregnant girlfriend, Akia Eggleston, and their unborn child in May of 2017.
The family reported Akia missing after she failed to show up for her baby shower. The 22-year-old was 8 months pregnant at the time.
Alexa Ashwell has been covering this case since Akia Eggleston was first reported missing. She joins us now with more on what happened in court today. Alexa.
Kai, Mary, we've now heard from nearly a dozen witnesses, all called by the state, the majority either a friend or family member of Akia Eggleston. But the most emotional account today coming from a bank manager, and the surveillance video investigators say captures one of the last times Akia was seen alive. This image of Akia Eggleston inside the BB&T, a snapshot of surveillance video jurors viewed during day 4 of Michael Robertson's murder trial. The bank manager breaking down into tears as she identifies Akia in the video. It was May 3rd, 2017, and one of the last times investigators say Akia was seen alive. In the courtroom, Akia's family also emotional, later putting their reaction into words.
It was very, very difficult. I didn't expect it. To see that would be the last time that anybody saw her live. To see that, there's really no words.
Back in court, the bank manager testifying why Akia told her she was withdrawing cash that day. She was moving, and he did not accept money orders. At the start of the trial, the state alleging Akia's belief she and Robertson were getting a place together was a ruse, that there was never a meeting with the landlord, and Robertson had no intention of moving in with Akia, instead killing her inside her home in Cherry Hill. Claims Robertson denies. In opening statements, his defense saying, "You're going to hear things about Michael Robertson that you don't like. That doesn't make him guilty of murder." Another woman taking the stand, Robertson's paternal cousin, also a close family friend of Akia. Text messages between her and Robertson after Akia failed to show up for her baby shower on May 7th, days after she was last seen in the bank, were entered into evidence. In them, Robertson says he does not know where Akia is. His text reading in part, "I'm not with Akia," and later, "Tell her the stunt she pulled left me homeless." The woman then questioning Robertson on the whereabouts of the mother of his other children. In court, testifying she had previously attacked Akia. At the start of the trial, the state painting the picture of a love triangle. During cross-questioning, the witness confirming Akia vented more about the other woman than Robertson. Then the name of Akia's unborn son. The woman testified Robertson had an interest in Egyptology and had selected the name Anubis. The state showing jurors the meaning of the name God of the Dead. Akia's family discussing their interpretation.
Do you think he was trying to point a picture to premeditation?
Absolutely. I do agree that the prosecuting attorney was trying to depict a story based on the witnesses today and the name that was chosen representing death.
Now, the state's last witness that was set to testify today did not show up. We're asking questions about that. The defense did cross-question 3 of the 4 witnesses who testified today. But again, the defense attorney opting to not comment further during the duration of this trial. Witness testimony is expected to continue tomorrow. Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
All right, continuing with the code orange air quality alert for the remainder of the afternoon up and down the 95 and 97 corridor, including downtown Baltimore as well as Annapolis. So those folks with pre-existing respiratory issues, again, you're going to want to spend that extra time inside. Outside of that, it is just blazing hot. 96 last hour. We're at 95. It's actually the hottest that it's been thus far this month. We did make it to 97, though, in June. Winds out of the south-southwest at about 9 miles an hour. Humidity at 39%, but that's enough to make the feels like, or the heat index temperature, as hot as 99 degrees. 95 in Baltimore right now. It's 97 at Westminster and at Frederick. We've got a 97 currently at Laurel. Even the Eastern Shore, traditionally a little bit cooler. You're in the generally low 90s. Feels like 102 at Cockeysville, 100 at Elkton. That's dangerously hot at Laurel. Feels like 108 current hour. 102 is what it feels like at Stevensville, and Annapolis feels like triple digits right now. The hope is you get some showers and storms to cool you down, right? Well, here they are out to our west. This area in red is a severe thunderstorm watch. You can see all of the lightning, but it's kind of angling south and east. So I think we're going to miss most of the worst of the weather out of that. But there is still a marginal risk of severe weather here for the remainder of today into this evening. And then it returns again for tomorrow as a cold front begins to push our way. It's a weakening cold front, but a cold front nonetheless, which will maybe take us out of the 90s for tomorrow. Good news. The latest drought monitor coming out in the past 24 hours saying the severe drought with all the rain we've seen has pushed away from the city. The bad news is still Carroll County as well as Howard County are under the gun with a severe drought. There's our cold front, the humidity, the heat building, showers and thunderstorms coming for late this afternoon into this evening, timing things out. After, say, about 7, 8 o'clock, I think that's our best chance of getting some of these. They will be on the weakening trend as they come in. They'll last through about midnight or shortly thereafter. And that should add some clouds into the skies tomorrow to take us to 88. Some scattered storms tomorrow afternoon once again. And then it looks like the heat's on, and it's going to stay all the way well into next week.
Still ahead on Fox 45 News at 5, an arrest in the murder of a Towson teen. What we're learning about the suspect's criminal history.
New fears about what AI means for the entertainment industry. I'm Atra El-Nashar with why some artists say Congress needs to step in to protect their work.
The strike in Hollywood is about to get a lot bigger. The largest actors union has voted to join writers on the picket lines. A common demand the two unions have: assurances from studios their jobs won't be undermined by artificial intelligence. National correspondent Atra El-Nashar reports.
Artificial intelligence has the potential to transform just about every industry. In the entertainment world, writers and actors say they cannot or should not be replaced.
We're having to show our power to remind the companies, hey, you don't have anything without us.
The Writers Guild of America and the Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of TV and Radio Artists, want studios to agree to parameters for using AI to generate scripts or mimic a real performer's voice or likeness. Those concerns extend beyond the picket line, all the way to Capitol Hill.
This hearing will come to order.
During a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing this week about AI's implications for intellectual property, Democratic Senator Chris Coons demonstrated core questions the technology poses for rights of creators with this AI-generated song.
Creating new sounds and rhymes in a world where tech combines.
Did ChatGPT infringe the copyright of New York, New York?
Or did I just use AI tools to enhance my own creativity? And if so, should this newly created song be entitled to copyright protection?
Adobe is among the stakeholders calling on lawmakers to create a federal right to publicity law that gives creators the right to license the use of their work, meaning they can block AI training data sets from accessing it. Many artists argue state laws and current opt-out measures are inconsistent and insufficient. Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn represents a lot of those artists in her home state of Tennessee.
You got to do something about this.
so that it is going to be fair.
A big challenge, machine learning models currently cannot unlearn content they've already ingested. Carla Ortiz, a concept artist and illustrator known for her work on films like Black Panther, says her name has been used thousands of times in AI prompts.
I have never been credited. I have never been compensated 1 penny.
Exploitation, she calls it. That's happening to artists every single day. On Capitol Hill, I'm Atrel Najar reporting.
Still ahead tonight, we continue to follow the City Council hearing addressing the Brooklyn Day mass shooting. The police department is in the hot seat right now. You see Richard Worley, the acting police commissioner, answering questions. We're going to take you live to that hearing at the other side of this break.
A 19-year-old charged with shooting and killing a 17-year-old in Towson, now linked to a separate shooting in the city. I'm Rebecca Pryor, and I'll share the dramatic details with you coming up after the break.
More controversy surrounding the Supreme Court. This time, it's Justice Sonia Sotomayor's book sales. I'm Janae Bones in Washington with the details on the ethical fallout.
Well, Fox 45 following 4 big stories for you at 5:30.
BGE is in the hot seat as residents demand accountability. Why they argue the company is damaging historic homes in Baltimore.
An arrest in the murder of a Towson teen. What we're learning about the alleged suspect's troubled past. Supreme Court justices under the microscope as ethics concerns come to light. The new report raising concern.
Plus, the City Council is holding a hearing right now to gain more insight into the communication failures surrounding the Brooklyn Day mass shooting.
And we have team coverage of the top stories tonight. Amy Simpson looking into the new demands coming from city residents surrounding BGE's external regulators.
Rebecca Pryor has more information on the teen arrested in Towson and the previous charges that he faces.
And the National Desk's Janae Bowens is highlighting a new report raising questions about Supreme Court ethics.
Let's begin with that city council hearing in Baltimore. Leaders are calling on city agencies to give them some answers. The Housing Authority is now front and center. Let's listen.
Event and communicated to HABC in advance of the scheduled date, of which we were able to share information with the Southern District. So as the commissioner stated, they were prepared for the event. Since COVID, things have changed. First, I want to say that the resident who originally used to organize this event has since then passed. Since COVID, the event has not been organized by the residents in the same manner and properly communicated to HABC as they had in the past. One of the things that we continue to ask ourselves, should we have known? The thing about this particular Brooklyn Day is that it never happened on the same day every year. Sometimes it's in June, sometimes it is in July, and sometimes it's in August. We continue to wait and look for intel on the property. If we see flyers, if we hear anything, they report it into us, and we, of course, report it to the police department. I want to be clear, our staff that is on site make sure that they report it to us. They cannot report anything that they see right then and there because of safety issue. One of our commitments to our staff is that we have to send them home the way they come to work. And so because of that, we have protocols in place where they are supposed to let our main office know exactly what is going on, and we then take the ball and carry that with the Southern District. In the past year, we have had a security manager that worked with us. He has since then left us in May. He was a ex-police officer, so we were able to get a lot of information and share a lot of information with the police department. One of the things that we have been doing, and I want to skip over the next slide, Nina, if you can, and go to the third slide. So the second slide really just talks about our policies and procedures. I want everybody to understand that the Housing Authority does not condone any type of block parties on our property, nor do we have alcohol or anything using our electricity. All those things were broken on this particular day. Our electricity were being used illegally, and this party was never communicated in the manner in which we were expecting. So one of the things that we are doing, just like we did when we had 9/11, we're literally changing our policies. No one planned for these type of events. We just don't. But what we understand is that our policies and procedures must change in order for us to make changes and communicate that well to our residents. In early 2022, we were able to bring on security force. Just so give you a quick background, the Housing Authority does not have a police department, and we do not have a security force on staff. However, because of incidents that were occurring at 4 of our sites, we brought in a security unit on a pilot basis. We did that simply because we wanted to find out the cost, and we wanted to find out what type of deployment would be required on these sites given the footprint that we covered. For example, we have 35 acres at Brooklyn Homes. So one of the things that was already in the works, in July, which is next Tuesday, we will be taking the security contracts to our board, and we will be implementing security at every single one of our properties except scatter sites, which we're not able to do. We have enhanced our communications since then, meaning that we are working internally with our communications department to ensure that we get all the information that's already in the lease out to our residents to reiterate what will not be tolerated on HABC's property.
The Housing Authority speaking at this city council hearing, saying they have some 5,600 families there, also saying that block parties like the one that happened are not condoned and are not encouraged. However, they also, the spokesperson also talking about the fact that they were not made aware that this was going to be happening, but that they do have some security in place, but not the kind of police security that one would expect patrolling this type of event. In the meantime, Fox 45 is going to stay at this hearing and continue to gather information. Mackenzie Frost is there. She'll have a full wrap-up coming up tonight at 10 o'clock on Fox 45 News.
We're following continuing coverage tonight on the heels of last night's council hearing over BGE's external gas regulators. A candidate running for city council now calling on Baltimore's elected officials to take action now.
Some residents question the transparency of the natural gas utility work, which BGE claims is to improve safety.
Fox 45's Amy Simpson continues following the debate about gas regulators.
Hearings being called and a lot of questions being raised, but a city council hopeful points to a way that she thinks city council can act now to protect residents. Outside of City Hall today.
Thank you for being here.
A city council hopeful urging Baltimore's lawmakers to amend the city's right-of-way laws amid BGE's controversial installation of thousands of outside gas regulators.
Demanding that we get informed and written consent by the property owner is a way that we can manage and ensure that BG&E does not get away with what it's been doing.
Claudia Tolles is running to represent Fells Point at City Hall. She says the city has jurisdiction over construction and utility permitting for right-of-way, where sidewalks are being torn up and those gas regulators are being installed. Right now, a court order has the utility work on hold as a class action lawsuit plays out between residents and BGE.
This is an opportunity for the city council to provide that path forward, to hold BGE accountable and to help them understand that it is not okay to bully their way through our neighborhoods.
This candidate also one of the women who made headlines over gas regulators last month.
I was one of the 3 women who was arrested in Federal Hill protecting the rights of neighbors whose gas was being shut off unlawfully by BGE. There's no trespass. Where's the trespass?
Our cameras were rolling as the arrests unfolded. Those 3 women spent a night in central booking. Taking her demands a step further today, this candidate urging city leaders to request BGE's internal memos for insight into why the company made the switch from internal to external gas regulators. Also calling on council members to reject political donations from the utility giant.
And I think taking political donations just muddies the waters.
In a statement today, BGE said it's modernizing Baltimore's gas system. The goal of this work is to provide customers with natural gas in the safest and most reliable manner possible. BGE said in part, adding its project is in accordance with applicable laws, regulations, and BGE standards. But for now, this candidate says the fight continues.
This does not stop today. It didn't stop yesterday in the informational hearing. It's not going to stop with the other hearings. But with information comes the responsibility of taking action.
Today, we reached out to all 15 members of Baltimore City Council to see if they support that proposal to amend the city's right-of-way laws. But tonight, no response from a single member of council. We're outside City Hall. Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
Tonight, we're uncovering new information about the 19-year-old accused of killing a 17-year-old in Towson earlier this year.
Court records revealing Freedom Brown is also facing a first-degree murder charge in Baltimore City for a crime committed back in 2021.
Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor attended the bond hearing for Brown this afternoon. She joins us live with the latest. Rebecca?
Well, Kai, that hearing was postponed until tomorrow, but it is likely that Brown will be held without bond as the 19-year-old now faces 2 separate murder charges. Community activists say it's just another example of young people falling victim and committing crimes this year, and they're arguing more needs to be done to stop this troubling trend. According to county and city investigators, 19-year-old Freedom Brown, the face behind 2 violent crimes. The first, a 2021 homicide case where 4 suspects allegedly robbed, shot, and killed a 24-year-old man in northwest Baltimore City. The victim found dead with numerous gunshot wounds to his head and torso. Charging documents say an eyewitness identified Brown as the killer, leading to his arrest in March, just weeks after Brown would be linked to another tragedy in Towson.
It's becoming a very unsafe place to live.
The February shooting death of 17-year-old Trayshawn Harmon shaking the suburban community.
This is not what we expected living in Towson.
And this week, police charging Brown for Harmon's murder. They say it happened following a group altercation behind BJ's Restaurant and Brew House just blocks from the Towson Circle. Again, eyewitnesses, and this time surveillance video
pointing police to Brown.
There's absolutely no doubt that, first of all, that we have a crisis in regards to juvenile crime.
According to Uripsy Morgan, spokesperson for the community group Peace.
I think it highlights the fact that something needs to be done.
It's yet another reason to call lawmakers back to Annapolis for a special session, not just to enact new laws, but to send the message the tightening grip of gun violence on our youth will not be tolerated.
But it also goes to setting that tone that says, look, too many of our young people are dying, too many of our young people are in danger, and we are going to make them a priority.
And while some Republican lawmakers have also joined those calls for a special session, so far, Governor Wes Moore has said he has no plans on calling one. Reporting live in Baltimore County, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Rebecca, thank you. We're going to go back to that city council hearing right now. The interim Monzi director is speaking. Let's listen in.
So you could see I mentioned the kind of activation as of Sunday at 12 noon following the event. We stood up resources that entire week beginning at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday. We extended our hours into the evening. Understanding that there was a holiday, there was probably times where folks would be at work that they might want to stop by at the evening, and so making sure that space was available. On Monday morning, the CAO also convened agency leaders to begin to look at things like service requests, 311 requests, other information about the Brooklyn community so we could activate that interagency response. The mayor held a community meeting in partnership with Councilwoman Porter, faith leaders, other community and CVI partners that evening. We Are Us also held a vigil and walk that evening as well. That was followed by a walk on Wednesday that the mayor's cabinet took place, and then also a Safe Streets shooting response, which happens anytime there's a shooting within a post geography. That occurred on Friday evening. And so our work continued. We wrapped up this first phase of the stabilization yesterday evening, and we'll be actively planning with other agencies what the next phase of that work looks like. And so if you go to the next slide, you can see just the sheer number of partners that mobilized in this first phase of our efforts. I know some of the text appears to be overlapping, but you can just see the number of city agencies, state agencies, nonprofit partners, service providers, donors who were on this website and or on this slide and who provided any number of services to the community. I want to just say thank you again to them. Their support was critical, and we know the community appreciated it. I think on the next slide, there are just a few pictures to kind of show what the operation looked like. For those who did not have an opportunity to